Hello, Alison. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. So tell me a bit about your book.
Right, so this is Chasing a Dream, and it's a family saga. It's set in 1950 in the Derbyshire village of Kilburn, and it's centred around a mining family of that time. But primarily, it's about this character, Stella, who is chasing a dream, and her dream is to be an author. And unfortunately, in 1950, lots of women were not really encouraged to do things like writing. They were just pushed into traditional female roles. But she's got a heart set on doing completely different, and the story is all about her journey.
Excellent. How old is Stella?
Stella is 16 in the book, and it's kind of set over a year, so she heads out to be 17/18 by the time it's finished.
So she's just at the stage where she's leaving school and wanting a career and not knowing what to do.
Yeah, she is, yeah. And unfortunately, her family life isn't the best either, so she's kind of struggling along with that as well.
Imagine with a mining working class background, it was quite women are in the kitchen, having babies, being married, cleaning at best. So I can imagine how that affects her if she does want to write.
I don't think she had much of a voice, really, or women didn't have much of a voice in those days. But I think she's quite a strong character, and she comes across in the book as wanting a lot more than that for herself. So, yeah, I think she gets there in the end.
Excellent. So tell us a bit about you then. What do you do in your spare time when you're not writing?
Well, when I'm not writing, I'm also a registered podiatrist and have been for 25 years. And I work for myself in the community now. So I'm trying to slow it down a little bit, but I still do very, very well with it. Lots of patients, especially in Kilburn. Lots of them in the past have helped me with the research for the book, which has been lovely. So they're really interested in seeing the book and reading it. Apart from that, I've got a very crazy Labrador called Henry. He's a black Labrador. He's absolutely beautiful. So he takes up a lot of my time. And my husband and I have just bought another motorhome. So we've got lots of adventures planned with that. Aside from that, I think that's about it, really. That takes up most of my time.
If I remember rightly, when I was reading the book, she takes a trip to Skegness. Is that one of the places that you like to go in your motorhome camper van?
I can't say that we've been to Skegness, actually.
Ever?
I have been, but not in a camper van. So maybe I shall have to go and visit. I do know whereabouts the miners' camp used to be in Skegness, so maybe that's a place that I'll have to go and have a look at sometime.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to find out the source of your story, I suppose, because that's quite a big part of the story.
It is, yeah.
And it's very, if you've watched films like Dirty Dancing, you get the idea of all the entertainment in one place, and probably a bit like Butlins, if I'm allowed to say that word.
Well, yeah, I think it's obviously it was the Butlins of the day.
Yeah.
I can imagine it would have been an absolutely amazing place to have been, because I do know that the miners back then, they had to fight to have a fortnight's holiday. So that camp really was for them, and they would have had an absolutely fantastic time for 2 weeks. It would have been brilliant for them, because it must have been a terrible slog to work down in a mine.
To bits.
Oh gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think they must have had a fantastic summer, and look forward to going every year.
And then bracing themselves to come back and go back to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So Stella's a family life. What were the highlights and low times of the family, without giving too much of the story away?
Yeah, well, as I say, I think her mother was probably very much cast aside by the husband. And I don't think that she had the same fight in her that Stella has got. So she probably wouldn't have been as supportive towards her daughter as
she probably accepted her role as wife and mother and in the kitchen with the kids.
Yeah. And the father was obviously, he was at war, he was a prisoner of war, so he's not only seen a lot of trauma in his own life, I think also his character probably has a lot to do with his personality side of it. So it wasn't really the nicest of fathers to have. So his relationship with his daughter has never been a good one, and probably never will.
Ever. Okay, so you spend time with your dog, you've got a motorhome. Are there any plans to become more author orientated? Have you got any other in the pipeline?
I've got a couple of ideas in the pipeline. I started off with wanting to be a scriptwriter for film. So I would like to explore a couple of opportunities within that. But also, perhaps, I might revisit the poetry side of things. I've written quite a lot of poetry, so I might sort of drag all that out and maybe have a look to see whether that could be collaborated into a small book. We shall see.
I know that Stella's quite keen on poetry as well.
Is
she based on you as a child? Is she based on somebody that you know?
No, she's just completely been pulled out of the air. The only connections that we've got really, I would say, are probably the writing and the determination.
Yes, I can see how that is. I know Grandpa was quite into poetry as well.
Yes,
do you have any in your family tree?
I do, yes. My father, he's written lots of poems. In fact, his claim to fame is that during COVID, he wrote a poem every single day, just a short one. And when we were doing all of the Zoom meetings within families and keeping our connections together online, we'd have this, every morning we would have a little session of Dad's poems, and he did one for every single day of COVID, which I keep egging him on to get published. But yeah, he's got lots of ideas that he's never taken up, but now he's nudging me into that direction to try and write some of his stuff. So I don't know, we might.
We did get quite a flurry of books in 2020 actually. A couple of poetry, a couple of short story books. Yeah, it was a very busy time because people had time on their hands.
That's it. Yeah, it was a good time for people to be writing, wasn't it? Yeah.
So you enjoy the writing as much as you like the feet?
Oh, now there's a question. I think both of those are in their own right there. I like to come away from doing somebody's feet and seeing a smile on their faces when they can walk better. So that's really good. But then I think the writing, it does take you off into a different realm, really. So they're both different in their own way.
They certainly are. I can't think of anything more different than feet and books. Apart from putting your feet up and reading a book.
Yeah.
Or reading a book while you're having your feet done, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you should take a copy of your book round to people while you're doing their feet.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Add it onto the price of the treatment. Pretend it's a free book with every foot treatment. Okay, so Kilburn then. Have you lived there all your life?
No, I've been in Kilburn for almost 30 years now, but I've always been in Derbyshire. So I lived in Ulverston as a child, grew up there, just near Ulverston Castle. So spent a lot of time around there with horses and dogs and things like that growing up. Then I had a short spell in Borrowash, which again was a nice little sort of villagey area. And then I moved to Kilburn in 95. Yeah, 95.
Just fell in love with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of history. It's got a bit of a bigger place over the last few years, but there's lots of history to Kilburn, hence the book.
Yes.
And it is a nice place to live. Yeah, it's a lovely place to live. The people are all nice there. So
does everybody know everybody?
I think as the village has got bigger, the people probably not quite so much so. But when I first moved there, yeah, I think, you know, and at one time everybody would have known everybody else, especially in the 50s.
Yes.
And especially on a street like that, that this is sort of set in. definitely everybody would have known everybody else's business.
I do. I must admit, I do really love the book cover, and I can almost imagine a lady sitting on the doorstep, scrubbing the doorstep.
Yeah.
I can sweeping outside on the pavement. I can just picture it. I can almost see someone walking out of that door.
Yeah.
Ready to scrub.
Definitely.
Clean the windows or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they used to back in those days.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people back in those days, it was all about making sure that the front of your house looked immaculate.
Represented what you are, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that comes down to the woman, and that's probably the way that they were brought up, to keep everything tidy and clean. But then I suppose while they were out there doing that, that's when the gossip would start, and they'd have all the little conversations and find out each other's business.
I can imagine that. And at the co-op as well, that's
the co-op.
People stop there and have a little natter.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
I know that you did. You recorded a video for us around Kilburn. I had a look at it. I was like, love it. It looks like a lovely place. Bit of a trek to the church.
Yeah, it is a bit of a trek to the church. So back in the 50s, they had a Methodist chapel and a Baptist chapel, but the nearest parish church would have been Horsley, which is probably, I'd say maybe mile and a half away from Kilburn. But that would have been the place to go, and obviously it was as I said in the video, it's the church, parts of the church date back to the 14th century. So people have been going there for a very long time, and it is a beautiful church. So again, there's lots of history there.
In the video, I noticed the difference in the houses between Stella and Will. Stella lives in a little terraced house. Well, I think she called it cottage, didn't she? Yeah,
I think that those cottages along there were, I think, primarily built for the miners.
Yes.
So there was the whole street is quite compact with little terraced houses. But I think Will's family, his dad worked at Royce's. His mum's got a small part-time job at Dent Pottery, so they would have been slightly more affluent than Stella's family.
Yes,
for sure.
So there's no obligation to live in one of the cottages because they didn't work for the mining community.
No, that's
you
right.
see it all over the Midlands, really. You see houses dedicated to mining families. I've even seen ones where the street subsides, or the houses subside because of the mines. And so it's a very northern thing and Midlandsy thing, isn't it?
It is.
You don't really hear about it down south.
No, you don't. No, they say the further north you go, and obviously parts of this are set in Creswell Village. That was a very big mining place at one time. The further north you go, the more into mining you get, really.
Is that why you focused the book on mining? Because mining is such a big part of the lifestyle back there?
Yes, it is really, it's a very big part of what Kilburn was at one time. So, and speaking to people as I did, I think that's pretty much where it all kind of started, was chatting to local people while I was doing their feeds. And that really sort of set me thinking about history. I've got a massive love of history anyway. And my inspiration came from there, and my imagination sort of started to get going. And
you don't love it when the creative juices start flowing and you just can't stop. Be like, what about adding this and what about this as well?
Yeah,
definitely. Okay, well, it's a fantastic book.
Thank you.
So you got plans maybe you said you've written a screenplay. Have you got plans to write anything along this line again, this massive novel?
I'm not so sure as a massive novel again. It has taken me a long time, but I have got ideas for a possible script for the Creswell disaster that features in there. I think that's a story that
fiction or factual.
I think based on fact, because there are so many facts there. And as I've said in the book, this year is the 75th anniversary of that disaster, which is still obviously in lots of people's
I bet it's quite raw still.
It was the biggest disaster that Derbyshire saw at that time. So it will still be very raw for people. But I mean, it's only got a small place in the book, but I think that maybe in the future that really could do with being explored and perhaps brought out there a bit more. So I don't know, we'll have to watch this space.
We'll have to see if we can get hold of any producers, TV, film producers.
Yeah, that would
right
be.
To Steven Spielberg or something. Excuse me, Stephen, if you don't mind. Yeah. Would you mind doing this?
Free.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Good luck with all your writing and your feet.
Thank you very much indeed.